Hey crew, it feels so good to have this group back together. The pancakes have been served. J-Mac joins the party. And last night it was all about the sophomore quarterbacks at Soldier Field. You got Caleb Williams beginning his second season and Jay a 17-6 lead going to the fourth quarter. But Kevin O'Connell coaching up his young quarterback and J.J. McCarthy would respond. What for the two, they don't get it. So it's 17-12 Chicago after this gorgeous touchdowns. We'll take another closer look, and you'll see he does, and that puts them right where you don't want to be on 3rd and 14, and only bad things happen. But it was too little, too late. McCarthy and the Vikings with a huge comeback win. So it's a tale of two halves, or two nights for J.J. McCarthy. Through the first 3 quarters, really struggling. And then he became the first player ever to account for 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter of his NFL debut. And he joined Steve Young as the only starting quarterback since 1950 to direct a double-digit 4th quarter comeback in their NFL debut. So it was a historic night. Here was the quarterback and the coach after the game.
What do you
told him at halftime, you are going to bring us back to win this game. And the look in his eye was fantastic. And the best thing is just the belief I felt from the team.
And the belief was evident. What were you saying before about if you're a Vikings player as you run off that field, what are you thinking?
You have this big old smile on your face, and you turn to one of your teammates and you go, we got our guy.
Amen.
He's here to stay.
Amen.
So you're feeling really good about the storm that J.J. McCarthy was able to weather in that 4th quarter. We always talk about quarterbacks and we say, hey, some of these guys are struggling. Throw the ball to 18. Figure out a way to get in his hands. J.J. McCarthy did that and came up victorious.
The 18-point is a big one because the infrastructure around J.J. McCarthy was outstanding. It started out rough, but their ability to run the ball in the second half took pressure off him. The ability for the defense to shut down their opponent took pressure off him. It allowed J.J. McCarthy, I think, to step into the moment.
J-Mac, I just want you to hear you talk about the run game. It doesn't happen often, but you see he's got a little something there. You make sure you clue in on that part, too. But I'll say this about him. The way he bulled his neck after he throws that pick 6 and he still lets it rip, that's the difference. That's some dudes shrink back. He did not shrink back.
An interesting note on this, Graziano, is I opened the highlight by saying, for all intents and purposes, this was J.J. McCarthy's first. But the reality is, while it was the first game he played, he's been there, and that makes a difference.
He has been in that program with that awesome coaching infrastructure with Kevin O'Connell, Josh McCown, all those great coaches they have on the offensive side of the ball. He didn't play last year because he was hurt, but he's in every meeting. He practiced in training camp before he got hurt. He has had a year of development, even though he wasn't playing, that appears to have been more beneficial to him than the year that Caleb Williams had in Chicago last year when he started every single game. But coaching turnover, et cetera. So that matters a great deal. You talk about Kevin O'Connell and building a culture, right, and building that belief. We talked all offseason, are you worried about the Vikings changing quarterbacks at 1/4? No, because we believe in Kevin O'Connell. The key thing to understand is so do they. Those players and those coaches are of that culture that he has built there, and that's why they're able to win no matter who the quarterback is.
That's such an important point. To me, the historic draft class with some of the talent of these young guys. But it is the perfect illustration of what I try to say all the time, which is that more quarterbacks are ruined than developed.
No doubt.
J.J. McCarthy is way better off for the year he spent last year, even though he didn't ever touch the field, than Caleb Williams is because of the nonsense that was going on around him. That's not to excuse everything. It's not making excuses. It's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the habits you develop as a player, and especially a young player. That's what Ben Johnson is hoping to work out of Caleb Williams. And it's hard to do because you do revert back. Like whether we want to or not, we revert back to the things that we did last year. And so you saw Caleb do that a little bit in the second half. But what O'Connell is doing for McCarthy, that's what Ben Johnson will do for Caleb. It just is going to take time.
It's such a gift that Sam Darnold gave them last year because they could use, and the injury stinks, but you're not developing under pressure. When you're week to week, we're like, how are we going to live this week?
Right.
But they weren't like that last year. So last year they could be like, all right, this week we're going to help you focus on understanding this defense or addressing this part of this shortcoming that you have. It's a great way to be able to develop your quarterback until he's ready.
So it doesn't mean he's going to be a rocket ship to the moon. Who knows? But you can clearly see there's a foundation there that is set for success, and he has a great chance.
What do we know about him after one game? He's not going to get down if the first 3 quarters don't go well.
That's right.
And I remember, I've told this story before. I'm sitting there talking to Kevin O'Connell last summer before McCarthy got hurt, and he says about young quarterback development, the thing you want to avoid is when that negativity compounds pounds, and it wrecks their confidence. You're going to have bad things happen. Poorly, he has that belief that he can turn it around.
And as we're celebrating J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams, when you talk about when things go bad, they couldn't have gone any worse for Caleb Williams in year one. At moments, stepping up in the pocket, scrambling, checking the ball down. We saw some good things from him.
Right.
The game didn't go the way it did for J.J. McCarthy, but if I'm a Chicago Bears fan, I'm encouraged by what I saw from
And even
Caleb.
the end, he brings them down, scores a touchdown down, right? So he didn't fold up either. Like both teams go away thinking, we got our guys. It's going to be a different developmental process, but we got our guys we can build around.
So let's analyze that a minute. First of all, let me put the full screen up here, A10, if I can, please, because Caleb Williams, he starts the game completing his first 10 passes, and Troy Aikman was constantly pointing out on the telecast, they're talking about completions. You know, that's the key to Ben Johnson's offense. He was off target, however, on 29% of his throws for the night, which is the highest rate of any quarterback in week one. In the second half, nearly half his throws, 44%, were off the mark. And further, Troy Aikman, even in that beginning of the game, when he was completing those 10 passes, kept showing you after the play, he had something down here he could have gone for. He had something here he didn't see. So, with that thought in mind, how do you feel if you're the Bears today?
Yeah, I was encouraged that he was able to do some of the things where he could make a decision and not try to be Superman all the time. And those check.
The difference to me from an offensive perspective, too, is Ben Johnson, when you think about when Detroit was really humming, they ran the ball very, very well. And everything's created off of that, right? They had no rhythm in the run game last night. And they tried, right? They're trying to get the ball. But Williams is their leading rusher as well. Yeah. So your quarterback can't be your leading rusher, right? Yeah, exactly. But we got to be, at some point, you take pressure off of your guy, and Minnesota did a better job of running the ball effectively in the second half, which opened up for JJ. That same thing has to happen. I know they don't think the run game counts, but honestly, it wins a lot of football games.
You're a little bit new here, J-Mac, but
I looked at
you need to understand that, if there is ever an issue in the world, Jeff Saturday's answer to it is run the ball. Right. You're like, hey, Jeff, I'm late for school today.
Yeah.
Well, you got to run the ball.
Run the ball. And take care of all problems.
Hunger, poverty, like all that stuff. You got to run the ball.
Right. Next time I'll be all good.
I would turn to you and say, hey, Jeff, quit calling the plays. Hey, Jeff, we've all seen that one. So, but it's an interesting point because the Bears run it for 119 yards last night, and you're saying, hey, that's pretty good. But 58 of it is the quarterback.
That's right.
And it did not, their offense never, you know what? Like, just watching it, I'm just an observer. Their offense never felt like it was clicking at any point. Even when he made some spectacular plays, it never felt like they were in a rhythm.
And he rushed for more than the other backs combined. So
that's right.
That just goes to show you where they're trying to get. And also remember, Caleb Williams is under center more than he had been. Hembo showed me a stat. He threw for twice as many yards on his completions when he was in shotgun than when he was under. So a lot of this, he's still learning as he's going as well.
It's a work in progress in Chicago, in both places, candidly, but the Vikings are the team that is 1-0. Meanwhile, Rodgers gets his revenge. That's coming up next. Was Sunday's performance against the Jets sustainable? Is the Steelers' ceiling a lot higher than we thought? Plus, the D in Dolphins stands for disaster. Tua and Miami a complete mess. J-Mac will show you exactly why it's going downhill fast. All that and more on ESPN.